Can we have our next guest come in? My brother, running for governor. I wanted you to be here in person.
I am here.
No, because I wanted people to see you
and
not just be a voice on the phone.
I am here
because you are running for New York State governor, and a lot of people don't know that.
That is correct. They don't know that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I knew that.
She did know that. Yes.
Well, I knew because I get the emails. Y'all keep emailing me.
I'm trying to get you to give me some attention. You gave me some attention, so thank you.
No doubt, no doubt. I just need you to pull the mic up to you.
Is that good enough now?
Yeah, perfect. Larry, I said your last name is
Sharpe.
Sharpe. I called you Stark.
No,
twice.
Sharpe. I'm not Tony Stark like Iron Man. That's nice. I like that, but I'm not Iron Man. I am Larry Sharpe, and there's an E at the end of that because the E stands for electable.
Okay, well, before we go any further, we have to give you an official People Before Politics round of applause.
Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, first and foremost, what made you decide to run, and why do you think you should be the next New York State governor?
Yeah, no doubt, because I was thinking of leaving this state like so many New Yorkers. Over 100,000 New Yorkers leave this state every single year. They're flooding out of here as fast as they can. We got huge problems and people are leaving, and I was thinking about buying some property in North Carolina and packing my bags too. But then I said, I'm born here, I'm raised here, my family's here. Why do I want to leave? So I decided I should make a change. I should actually go do something. I want to be the change, right? I'm sitting and complain about it. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to go out there and actually make some changes, put some new ideas out there and make things happen. But why should I be the governor? For the number one reason that people tease me. They say, Larry, why should you be governor? You have never had any experience in government. That's the reason. We are in trouble right now because of the career establishment politicians who have destroyed this state for the past decades. I can change that. I'm a business guy. I know what I can do. I can fix this. That's the reason why.
Okay, now I have to tell you, in our audience, they're a little nervous right now about voting for something new, because we had that problem. We voted for something. We voted for change in Mount Vernon, and it obviously wasn't the change that a lot of people. So people are a little nervous on that whole voting for change thing now.
Absolutely,
they're a little shell shocked.
But look, here's your issue, right? You have two choices. You could vote red team or blue team if you want to. That's great. Let me tell you what's going to happen if you vote red team or blue team. Cuomo wins again and nothing changes. If you're happy with the way things are, that's great. Vote one of the old parties, you'll be fine. Because Cuomo's going to win. Republicans can't win a statewide election right now. It's impossible. So it's great. Same old things will happen. If you like what's happening in New York State, you are set. You should not be listening to me. But if you're unhappy, I'm the only guy who can make change.
What party are you running on?
I'm a libertarian, my dear. I'm a libertarian, proud libertarian. I'm someone who says I want to make sure that people can do what they want to do without forcing others to do it. You can be as liberal, as conservative as you want to be. Just don't force others to be like you. You want to support small business. I want to support small business. I want to support entrepreneurs. I want to support new businesses. I want to support hemp and cannabis and blockchain and vaping and all the things, and Uber and all the things that the current administration is going out of its way to crush. As they try to crush Uber, they try to crush no, none of that. Not just that. I want to fix things that are broken. I'm not going to sit here and let the MTA, what it's been doing for the past decades, just sit here and hold us hostage. Not going to happen. I'm not going to let these bridges and tunnels keep falling apart. We're going to actually fix things. It's a different idea, a different environment.
Now, do you have a primary, or are you going straight to the general election?
Straight to general election.
Okay.
That's me, yes. Libertarian Party does not have a primary.
Okay. Yo, stop. I was waiting for you to keep talking.
Yeah. You want me to keep talking? Please, I'll keep talking.
No, let me
tell you what's important in this state then. What's important in this state is actually allowing real criminal justice reform, having real prison reform, actually allowing for both hemp and cannabis to be legal. These are things that matter to people in this state, and they talk about it but don't actually do anything about it. This is what matters. There's a lot of things that matter. Getting rid of unnecessary licensing, people who braid hair, people who walk dogs. There's a license for these things. Why? All it does is hurt the community. Look, I was raised in the South Bronx, a little kid in the 70s. And when I was a kid in the 70s, and you know what I saw? I saw people in a community who wanted to make money. They went out front, and they used to braid hair, right out front, and they would make money. I remember back in the day when they used to make cars out of metal. People would be out front banging out the dents in the car, sanding them out, and painting them. Right on the street making money. We used to have gypsy cabs because the yellow cabs didn't come to my neighborhood. With gypsy cabs, right? Somebody would have a car and he'd paint one door a different color. We know that's just a cab, right? That's before we had Uber. So we should do back in the day, right? All those things have gone away, and now the government has stepped in and saying, no, we had a license for your protection. Not for your protection. We get a license to protect the big businesses, the medallion thugs, so people can't be using Uber and Lyft. Right? We got to make sure you have monopolies in this state so the big people win. We can't just let people grow hemp and marijuana in their backyards that they should be able to do if they want to. No. We got to make sure big pharma or big tobacco wins. No. Small business is the key to resilience in the state. Small business is the key to immigrant communities growing, that entrepreneurial spirit which we crush. Small business is the way to grow this state, not big business.
Two things that come to mind. First off, a Chris Rock joke where he said, the government don't want you doing your drugs; they want you doing their drugs.
That's correct. Absolutely. Yes, that's 100% correct.
As a merchant in the 125th Street Mart across from the Apollo, I could and the last act of him and being in office, Rudy Giuliani vowed to close that building down, and he put a chain lock on it like in his last days of office.
Is that right?
Yeah. He
Oh
vowed to close that building down. He tried to get rid of the Apollo. He tried to get rid of a bunch of other things that the city either owned or didn't. He sold the station to some of his friends for under the price.
Of course. Yep.
The city station. So, yeah, so I'm a recipient of that. I understand. 125th used to be pumping.
Yep.
I could stand, like if I broke my belt one day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't had time to go to the store, but I ain't had to. I got to stand in front. Yo, the belt man came to me.
That's right, yes. That's right, yes. Exactly right.
You'd be like, yo, man, the socks dude came to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
this is how a lot of communities provide value in their own community. Right? They provide value in their own community and they grow. That's how they grow. That's how they educate their kids. That's how they get enough money so they can get a bigger business. That's how they do it.
Well,
but now they can't.
Let me ask you the $1 million question. So
it's a $1 million question.
Yeah. So I guess it's like Democratic majority or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you and I know some of the independent parties, some of the not the two parties are starting to make a little noise.
Yeah.
But do you really think running on the Libertarian Party that you can be elected?
100%. I'll tell you exactly why, to be clear. This is going to be a five-way race. And when I started this about a year ago, I wasn't sure if I could win. I knew I could make impact because I have good ideas, new ideas, and people liked, and I'm not afraid to talk, and I'm in front of people. I know what I'm talking about. So I knew I could make impact. But could I win? I wasn't sure. Now I know I can. Five-way race, guys. Five-way. His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo is going to run. There's going to be a Republican sacrificial lamb. He's going to run. He can't win. He's there to get second place. Howie Hawkins will run for the Green Party. Either Stephanie Minor or Cynthia Nixon will run as an independent, and then I will run. Five-way race. New York State is a plurality state, which means you don't have to have 51%. You have to have more than the rest. That means 30% could win this thing. Right now, when I poll with people, I've been in two polls, a Quinnipiac poll and Gravis marketing poll. In both of those polls, when people know who I am, I poll at over 25%. So my issue is name recognition. If people get to know who I am and hear what I have to say, I'm 5 points away from victory. This can be done. But more importantly, what's going to win this election? People who don't vote. About 70% of New Yorkers do not vote. They don't show up. 70%. That's going to be about 7 million voters. If I just get 10% of them, that's 700,000 votes. I get 20%, 1.4 million. 1.5 million wins this thing. 1.5 million is all you need because only about 4 to 5 million New Yorkers ever vote. 30%, it's about 1.5 million. This is a winnable race. Don't get me wrong, it's still climbing Mount Everest. I know that. But I have been climbing this mountain for about 10 months, and I'm still hustling. This can be done.
What does libertarian mean? What does it mean?
That's what I said earlier. A libertarian says you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want to be. Just don't force someone else to be like you. Understanding that government is force, right? What at the end of almost every law is a guy or a gal with a gun who's going to put you in a cage, and if you don't want to go in that cage, they're going to shoot you. Now, what does that mean? That means don't use law lightly. Only use law when there's a reason for law, when someone's going to lose their life, their property, their health, something's going to happen. Don't use it because I don't like what you're doing. I don't like you going over here or going over there. I think something you're using is a bad product I don't like. That's the wrong reason to use law. If we stop doing it, you'll find more people being more free. And libertarians understand that. They want to change culture, not just law. They want people to be better. It's the pursuit of happiness. Look, law shouldn't be about do as I say. Law should be about how do I facilitate an environment for everyone to be as happy as they want to be in the way that they want to be it. It's not my job to tell you what's right for you. It's my job to make sure you don't hurt anybody else. That's what libertarian is.
So, all right. So, Brother Sharpe, I mean, I welcome you on the show.
Thank you.
I want you to do well, brother, but I would be remiss if I didn't offer some pushback.
Please, push
to
back.
libertarian philosophy more generally.
Go ahead.
Because I think we can miss some important points. Now, while I personally am very sympathetic to the call to eliminate certain barriers to participation, full participation.
I like that.
In the in business.
Mm-hmm.
And I would agree with your assertion that a lot of the licenses that are currently required do nothing really but create an artificial monopoly control.
Absolutely.
For certain businesses.
Here comes the but.
But
mm-hmm.
It is the case, certainly, that there does need to be regulation of business in certain instances, and especially the corporate sector, precisely because there are actions that America's corporations are engaged in on a regular basis that are doing tremendous harm to humanity.
Let me give you
for example,
I'll
for example, the climate crisis that we're now experiencing.
Sure, I'm happy to answer all those questions.
We need some environmental regulation, and so I'm just curious how you square your libertarian philosophy with what the scientific community, at least,
happy to tell you those things. Let me touch a couple of those. Number one, at no point did I say get rid of all regulation. So that's not what I said, and I didn't say that. What I wanted to say is when it comes to licensing, here's a very good general rule for licensing, not regulations, licensing piece you brought up. And that is, would you ask your friend to do it? Would you ask your friend to braid your hair? You probably would. Would you ask your friend to walk your dog? You probably would. Why in the world do we have a license for that? That makes no sense to me. Would you ask your friend to remove your appendix? Probably not. Get a license for that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not against all licensing. But that's a good general rule on how you do with licensing to ensure that there is not just a barrier to entry. When it comes to regulations, again, I didn't say get rid of all regulations. But when you have monopoly on regulations, it does not make things safer. What you want to do is when it comes to regulations, realize something. Regulations are written by corporate lobbyists. That's who write them now. And regulations change when corporate lobbyists change them. Standards, however, are different. And here's my best example I can give you. Health food stores. If you look at health food stores now, there's a products you put in your body for health. The healthiest people you know shop at health food stores. The vast majority of things in a health food store are not regulated by the FDA and stamped appropriately. Not regulated by FDA. Yet where are all the deaths from health food stores? Very few of them. I don't hear any of them ever. And if there were any deaths from health food stores, what would happen? If some product was a bad product where someone was dying or being hurt or was doing something stupid or being addicted by a product, within 30 days, we'd figure it out, see it, it would stop being sold, the company would probably be sued, the health food store might even shut down, but it would end. The FDA has killed and maimed millions of people, far more than all the health food stores combined throughout the history of time. And with our opioid crisis right now, 80% of them are somehow started through a prescription drug regulated by the FDA. Where's the punishment of the FDA? None. Where's the punishment of Big Pharma? None. Where's the punishment of all these doctors? None. There is absolutely no recourse whatsoever. A monopoly on regulation is not the answer. Does that mean there should be no regulations? Of course not. There can be regulations. Of course there can. But just saying we must regulate is the wrong answer. Another answer, when you talk about corporations. The corporations right now, they are heavily regulated. And still, what is it, 90% of all the wealth is in the top 10% of our nation now, something like that? Still,
like that.
it's still happening. The regulations aren't helping. All they're doing is make people think that things are getting better, but they're not. We're going to keep regulating? We can't.
I got a couple of comments from the audience.
Please, go ahead.
So, White Plains Councilwoman Nadine Hunt Robinson said unchecked capitalism is dangerous.
I never said it shouldn't be unchecked.
Sandy Barnaby from the head of the Anti-Racism Alliance said libertarians are the Koch brothers.
That is incorrect.
It can be pretty scary.
Hold on,
let me finish. Let me finish. She said Koch brothers have managed to destroy environmental protection. Koch brothers control Trump. Libertarians want to dismantle all regulation. And she's not finished. Does he support what the Libertarian Party is doing to our country by the way of the Koch brothers? And then she had FDA question mark. Let this man Oh, question mark.
Okay. Let me answer these
Wait,
questions.
wait.
Let me answer. Let me answer.
Let him answer.
I
Let
just
him
want-
answer.
Let me
Wait,
answer.
okay,
I get it. I get this question all the time. Number one, Koch brothers are Republicans. Everyone says libertarian. They are wrong. Koch brothers have been libertarian in literally 35 years. That's not an exaggeration. Do your homework. If you are actually in government, shame on you for not knowing that. The Koch brothers have not given one dime to libertarians in over 30 years. That is absolutely incorrect. And she says, Trump is not a libertarian. Trump is a Republican. I am not a Republican. I'm libertarian. So if she doesn't like the Koch brothers, that's fine. She doesn't have to. They're not libertarian, haven't been for over 30 years. She is completely wrong. She's saying, what are libertarians doing to this country? Nothing. We are 3% of the vote. We're doing nothing to this country. How about instead give me a chance to do something to the country? Nothing's being done. We're not in power. This idea that libertarians are doing something to the country is a fantasy. We're not in charge of anything. So that's not true.
Okay, so her response to you was really not true, but
Because
White Plains Councilwoman Nadine Hunt Robinson said before OSHA laws, we had sweatshops. Remember the garment industry fire last century? And she said we need reasonable regulations.
Never said that wasn't true. What she's saying is a fear piece which is based in nothing. The Koch brothers are not libertarian. I never said deregulate everything.
We're talking about the regulations. She said the question was before you were talking about regulations and stuff.
Yes.
She said before OSHA laws, we had sweatshops. Remember the garment industry
Yes.
fire last century? And then she said we need reasonable regulation. See, the
I-
3%.
you don't really disagree with
I
that,
never said she was wrong. I don't know what she's talking about. Is what I'm saying.
And then she said
she's
3%.
just. I'm mad. He's not a Democrat. I'm mad.
Then
That's
she
not
said-
a viable.
Then
That's
she
not a
said
viable
3%.
argument.
Then she said 3%.
I don't think that's a
3%
fair
can lose us
representation of
important
the objections.
3% can lose us an important election.
Okay. Go ahead, Bob.
I was going to say, look, your rejoinder to say that Republicans are not libertarian really misses the point. The most radical aspect of the Republican Party platform that has been instituted over the last several decades really follows libertarianism.
It doesn't at all. You made that up also.
it's
Not true.
especially insofar as the main objective has been to deregulate a lot of the regulations that were instituted from the New Deal forward. So in that sense, there is a close alliance between mainstream Republicans and libertarians who both agree that an unregulated free market economy is the best economic system. But it sounds like you're actually saying you do acknowledge there's a place for regulation, despite the strong statement that you made in support of removing regulations for small businesses. You're not a full libertarian. If you were a absolute libertarian, then you wouldn't want any regulation at all because you think market mechanisms will lead to the best outcomes. Apparently, you don't quite believe that.
As a general rule, that is accurate. The problem is we're nowhere near there. You can't just take away these things. There are cultural aspects that also go into life, right? In theory, and this is a theoretical, in theory, would a consumer-driven market be better? Of course it would be in theory. But in practice, it can't be right now because we have other aspects that are happening in our culture right now. People depend on certain things, act certain ways, depending upon the cultural aspects of our nation right now. They're waiting for government to do things. Of course, you can't do it right now, but maybe in 100 years from now, maybe. Maybe 20 years from now, maybe. But we can't just take away someone and go, it's all gone, all regulation is gone. When people are afraid, we make bad decisions. So let me be very clear. I don't want to make people afraid. I want to give good ideas to facilitate good ideas. Note what I said. I did not say, get rid of all licensing. I said, let's have a good general rule. Would you ask your friend to do it? It's a very common sense, nice general rule on licensing. Why wouldn't we think that way? Will there be exceptions? Of course there will be. But right now the answer is, I'm afraid regulate. You look at the vaping industry. You look at cryptocurrency. You look at blockchain. You look at Uber. You look at Airbnb. And the first answer is, we're afraid, regulate. That should not be the first answer. The first answer should be, can we just let the consumer decide first and see what happens? That should always be our first answer, and it isn't. And what winds up happening is, who is the person who starts a hair braiding business? Who is the person who starts a dog walking business? Is there such thing as big dog walking or big hair braiders? It doesn't exist. It's the average person who's trying to make a better life for themselves. It's the person who maybe was an addict and has a bad resume. Maybe is a felon and had a bad resume. Maybe their job went away. Maybe their big business shut down. Maybe they're a single parent and their kids finally left, and now they want to go off and do something. Maybe they're just tired of working for the man and want to go out there and do something on their own. That's the person who this affects more than anything. The idea that licensing at a local level affects the global economy in some way, or affects the EPA or science, that's just a straw man people put up all the time. Well, you can't, you get licensing, now all of a sudden we're going to have global warming or whatever the case may be. No, they are two separate issues completely. They're not related at all. Licensing is, generally speaking, small businesses only. EPA is a different issue. I'm happy to talk about that too if you want to.
Well, before you do that, and I know we're coming to the end of the show soon, I wanted to give you an opportunity. I'm going to give you another question. I wanted to give you the opportunity to share with anyone listening who wants to know more about you.
Absolutely.
Is there a website?
Yes.
Is there social media? Whatever.
If you want to really learn the kind of things I'm talking about, which is things like, as an example, raising money through ways other than taxation, right? Doing things like leasing out naming rights to bridges to allow people to actually be able to make companies to make money off a bridge so that we don't have to pay any tolls. Getting rid of tolls and allowing people to travel more freely across this state and without raising our tax dollars. Being able not just do that, but actually make hemp and cannabis regulated like onions. So if you have chronic pain, you could grow your own medicine in your backyard and not have to pay some pharmaceutical company to give you an opioid. Things like that, actual criminal justice reform, where people actually have a chance, and when they get out of prison, they have an actual second chance at life, which hardly ever happens in this state. And we have people who are doing it in other states, and we should be copying them. If you care about that, go to Larry Sharpe for New York Facebook page, or LarrySharpe.com. That's Sharpe with an E, and the E stands for electable. Or go to Larry Sharpe Instagram or Larry Sharpe Twitter. There's lots of videos. Larry Sharpe for New York YouTube. I'm everywhere. Take your chance. Go look at it. Learn something.
Now, of course, we couldn't get to every question, and there are some more. So where can they go to those social media sites and ask you their questions?
100%. My team will answer, or I will answer, or both of us will answer. And I also do a radio show every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. called The Governor's House. It's a call-in show. Call and ask me questions. I take 6 to 8 calls every single time I do it. I just answer questions straight
Radio
from the phone.
show where?
It is. If you go to my Facebook page, you will see it as an event. It'll pop up on Wednesdays.
Okay. Last question. You got any follow-up, Bob? You wanted to close?
I made him speechless. Yes. I'm kidding.
That's not.
No. You didn't do that. No, you didn't do that.
Dr. Bob is
Interest in the show, and I understand. I don't want to come across as too adversarial.
I don't mind
I did
at all.
want to raise some principled objections and criticisms against libertarianism as a governing philosophy.
Right.
But for the interest, I mean, there's more things to do, and you know.
I kind of like a little bit of what he talked
I'm
about. I'm a
glad.
Republican.
Thank you.
Well,
And
I mean, I
Oh, really?
right. Well, let me say
I didn't
this
know
then,
that.
specifically
Oh,
with
no,
respect to
doesn't.
how
Oh,
Brother Sharpe has conceptualized how an economy would work. And he used the example, he stressed the importance of allowing consumers to make choices
Yep.
before we decide to adopt regulation.
Mm-hmm.
And he specifically cited the example of Uber. And I want to say that we need to be very clear that consumerism only is one role that we play in life, and that even as we benefit as consumers, much of the evidence seems to suggest that that local labor markets have been hurt by the spread of the I'll just call it for hire, the gig industry to the cab sector, right? So at the very same time that consumers are benefiting by apparently reduced costs of cab rides, we do now have a lot of career cab drivers who are experiencing unprecedented financial
Come
duress.
on, you're not saying it. This medallion system is the mob.
Mr. Sharpe,
Are you
Mr.
kidding me?
Sharpe.
It's a mafia.
Mr. Sharpe, can you allow me to complete my thought?
Go
And
ahead.
I'll be happy to allow you to rebut. So there have been a lot of individual drivers who have been hurt by the change in the cab industry, and the competition is actually pushing down wage prices. And as a result, you're seeing a big clamor on the part of many cab drivers for some sort of regulation so that their livelihoods aren't hurt. So I don't want to say, Mr. Sharpe, I don't want to say that there are benefits to lessening the regulatory load. But what I want to make clear is that we can't be dogmatic or doctrinaire about this. We have to really review it on a case-by-case basis. And I just point out Uber because I think it makes the supports my contention that, you know what, there is no one size kind of fits all.
Not at all. The medallion system allows a bunch of people to purchase medallions set up by the government so that they can make a bunch of money as rent seekers and now punish the actual drivers. The people who are making money in the medallion system are the people who bought the medallions because the government has decided that, oh, you should have X number of cabs in the city. Why would the government decide that? It makes no sense. Uber somehow works. Have these cabs, they're stopping and becoming Uber drivers because they make more money in Uber. They don't have to pay for the medallion anymore. The medallion is a way to punish immigrants who came to the city trying to work as cab drivers. They pay horrible rents to run these cabs, for 24 hours. 12 hours for one person, 12 hours for the second person, so they can survive. Why? Because they're paying medallion rents. The medallions were set up by the city government. They are a terrible idea. And if you're going to use cabs, that's exactly the worst example. The medallions are a terrible idea that allowed government to make some people rich and other people's pay. No way.
Medallions may be the wrong regulatory approach.
Correct.
However, total deregulation is also the wrong regulatory approach, and the complaints that have been made against Uber and the kind of mass inroads that it has made is sufficient proof that we need to be careful about going to the other extreme as well.
Okay, so real quick, closing out, I just wanted, a couple of people said a few comments. Ayo Joint said, our issues are rooted in unchecked capitalism. The Citizens United decision made things even more complicated.
I agree completely. He's right.
Sandy Bond said, Ayo, absolutely right. Watch the documentary Dark Money. It's frightening.
Citizens United was a bad idea. I agree completely. Terrible idea.
And Ayo said, and read the book by Robert Reich called Saving Capitalism. Great read. I wanted Reich. Okay. I wanted to give our other guests a quick second to final words about the rally coming up. I wanted y'all to
quickly. Yes. So thank you, AJ, for the time. Thank you, Lorraine and Dr. Bob, for having myself and Jesse here to talk about the Save for Rally in Mount Vernon. Is going to be this Wednesday coming up, August 22nd at 6 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m. on the front steps of City Hall. We will be there. We expect you all to be there for the things that we discussed earlier. But please take a gander at our Save Mount Vernon March event on Facebook. Also, you can find it on Black Westchester. They've been supportive and getting the word out as well. So I want to thank AJ for allowing me as a correspondent to write about the event through Black Westchester. But I know you pressed for time, so I don't want to go into more about what we're marching for. But on the event, you'll see a press release, and it'll give a good detail.
For anybody want more information, where do they go?
Save Mount Vernon March. That's just type it in on the search box in Facebook. Save Mount Vernon March, and there is where you'll find in the discussion column a press release detailing our objectives and some solutions for the mayor as well and city council.
Any last words?
Thank you, AJ, Louise, Dr. Bob. Appreciate everything that's done for us today, but people, please, Lorraine, I got you. Look,
I was going to correct you after you
thank
finished.
you. I appreciate it, Lorraine.
Lorraine's sweet girl.
Wednesday, 22nd, 6 o'clock, show up. And if you think you wanted your voice to be heard, I think we'll let you to the podium. We have nothing to hold back. We got everything to give. Solution is the answer. The person sitting behind the house, like I said, is our house, not his. We vote him in, we can vote him out. City Council, putting you on notice too. We coming. Everybody's not doing their job. We voted for y'all.
And we're giving them a deadline. They got 60 days. From the day that we march on the 22nd, they got 60 days to give us an answer on what's being done or what's going to be done. So there is a deadline.
I just want to also say, I would like to see the governor's running for re-election too.
Okay.
So he has the power to make that move that y'all talked about.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
He's
he
too
need
busy
to be
running for
put,
president.
But he need to be put on blast.
Well, he'll
Well,
be
we-
there
And
too.
bring his attention. If you bring up his name enough while he's running for election,
Yeah.
you get his attention.
Well, that's why we didn't expose everything here today. We didn't say everything. We holding back to Wednesday. So we was trying to basically refrain our words and
Right.
not let y'all know everything. But you come Wednesday, you're going to hear it all. You will definitely hear it all.
Last words.
Cuomo's too busy running for president. He doesn't care about you. He's too busy. He's too busy putting $30 million into his pocket so he can run for president. He's trying to beat up on Trump. He doesn't care about New York anymore. He's finished. He already walked away.
Well, last words, Dr. Bob.
Well, firstly, to Brother Van Loo and Lateef, you know,
My man. Dr.
thank you all
Bob.
for coming to the studio
Thank you,
and
sir.
stepping to the forefront and exercising some leadership
Thank you.
as we look to find ways to resolve the important issues that we're facing in the city of Mount Vernon. And y'all know I will be there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Whatever fears or misgivings I have, I will not allow myself to be cowed from speaking.
And for the
It's a
record,
power.
I just want to say, because some may say, well, Bob, he doesn't live in Mount Vernon. He used to. And he left because of the BS that's going on. And there's this type of knowledge. We have a doctor that is a professor at a very prominent college in New York State. We need him back here in Mount Vernon. And so we need to stop what's going on because it's running people away. Like you know, Mr. Sharpe mentioned, people are packing their bags. People are
They
leaving
are.
Mount Vernon
Yep.
because they're tired of it, especially if your taxes.
I'm gonna keep it real. If my mother did not get sick in 2014, I wouldn't be in New York.
That's correct.
Right.
I mean, there wouldn't be no Black Westchester. There would be nothing.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
here. I only came back from my mother.
Vote
and
in
then this
blue and
happened.
vote in red is not going to change anything, guys. You got to vote gold to make a change. If you want to hear change, you want to hear new ideas, you want to give people hope, you got to vote gold in 2018. I'm not joking. Libertarian Party is the answer for change. Because if you vote Libertarian, even if I lose, doesn't matter. It will force the other parties to be better parties. They will have to act because there'll be more competition. I know he hates competition, but it's very good. Competition helps to make people better.
He ran from Astorino, like the whole.
Yeah, he did.
I mean,
Yeah.
yo, I'm not an Astorino fan,
Me
but
either.
but for someone who got outspent 10-1 and never got accepted a debate except for that one in Buffalo on Buffalo radio, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you had to live in Buffalo, like to really like get to hear that, and that was the last minute. Astorino did pretty damn well for being out. I mean, he got. I'm not an Astorino
Yeah, but he
supporter.
came in second and nothing changed.
Well, no,
And
no,
this
no, no,
time,
no, I got
the
that. I'm just
Republican will
saying.
come in second again, nothing changes. I come in second, things change. I win, the entire state changes. I come in a good third, there's change. That's the issue. You vote for me, you will see change because I'm talking about things. Who's talking about real criminal justice reform?
Well, is
Nobody
he gonna, is he letting you come to the table in a debate?
Yes, I'll be there.
When are you?
It'll be in October.
October what?
I don't know yet.
Who do you
Okay,
support? Who do you support
please,
for lieutenant?
Yeah, who do you support for lieutenant?
Lieutenant Governor? I already have Lieutenant Governor. His name is Andrew Hollister out of Rochester. Yes, absolutely. I've actually have an upstate Lieutenant Governor because this is a state. It's not just New York City. That's correct. It's not
Well,
just New York City.
I'm supporting Jemani. I just actually came from an event, so
Yeah.
I'm personally not Black Westchester, not people before politics. AJ Woodson is supporting Jemani.
And
So
I wanted to say I have never shied away from public criticism of the two-party duopoly.
Yes.
oh,
And the
actually, we
damage.
need open primaries too.
Yes.
But it's-
There's
Yes.
a number of reforms that we can make, and this much I will say that there's a lot of agreement between Brother Sharpe and I about the need for a serious alternative to the two-party system, and until a third party is seen as a viable alternative, really what it means is that the two parties have no incentive
Yep.
to offer up significant changes.
Wasn't some hip-hop
So
legend?
it could be the case.
Hip-hop
I have not yet made a decision about who I am going to vote for.
So I got a shot.
So it could well be the case
All right, I got a
that
shot.
if one wants to register serious objections to the two-party system, voting for a third-party candidate, libertarian, or another one, if you so desire,
AJ might
could
know
be
that.
a good way to start making
I heard the
a step
question.
in the right direction.
About-
So in that
So
sense,
I
I
just-
want everyone to seriously consider
I love that.
Brother Sharpe's
10 seconds.
policy proposals. Take a close look at his program, and if you find something of redeeming value, and you don't think that you will do lasting harm to
won't.
our to New York State government by not voting Democrat, then consider it.
Sonny Barnaby, who was the one that gave you all those questions, said you have a shot.
Look at that. I got a shot. I love it. I got a shot. I love it.
Were you with our friend Anthony Millay
Yeah,
today?
because it's on the video.
Yes, I was.
You know,
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Anthony
correct.
was here last week.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So-
yes. I was just with him about a couple hours ago.
Yes, I
Okay.
was supposed to be there, but
Yes. Well, you got to see me now, so good.
that's what I told him.
Yes.
So
Oh, good.
So I just
That
want
was
to
good.
thank everybody
Yeah,
for
that was really
tuning in. I want to thank all of our guests for coming. As we celebrate, as we come off the second of our four-year anniversary of this show,
Congratulations.
trying to take things to the next level. We always pride ourselves in trying to bring you as many of the candidates as possible, so that you can hear what they're about and at least make an informed decision. I cannot tell you who to vote for, but I urge you to vote.
Please,
That's
that's
important.
70% of New Yorkers don't vote.
And hopefully we help you make an informed decision at the ballot box, not vote for somebody because that's my girl, or vote for someone. No, seriously, that we had that at Mount Vernon.
Yeah, definitely.
Not vote for somebody because they're black, or only because they're a woman, and
Or because of their party affiliation.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, no, we don't need blind loyalty to party affiliation. I've been on the record. I have no problem with the current Westchester DA, but I voted for the Republican that lost. You understand what I'm saying? I have no problem with this dude, but that's not who I voted for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when we came to the conversation, he was talking about more of what we was talking about when it came to criminal justice and police brutality. So I favored him. You understand what I'm saying? Now, he lost, but my point is, though, you know what I'm saying? You don't vote for a party just to vote for a party. That's why we're in the situation we're in now.
Yes.
Republicans is doing what they're doing now because they're trying to support their party. We're not even talking about the best person for office. We're talking about keeping our party in or taking over that party. And I do stand for open primaries, and I believe that open primaries, we wouldn't be in the situation before we are in now, because the states that had open primaries, Bernie won the primary. You understand what I'm saying? Of the states that I think Bernie would have had a better chance of winning than Hillary did. That's just my opinion. But we're coming to the close of the show. I want to thank everybody for listening. This is Black Westchester presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com. Until next week, you could be doing anything else, but you decide to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. Peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.